Major funding for Frontline is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Additional funding is provided by this station and other public television stations nationwide.
Tonight on Frontline, what is it like to enter the maze of the welfare bureaucracy?
What I'm going to do is refer you to some of our emergency food centers.
Do you realize if you own property that we must place a lien on the property?
Now these should go to welfare. Make sure that they get both of these.
Do you have a white notice of financial determination? Do you have that on you?
What church do you attend?
Tonight, the story of what it is like for those who are living below the line.
From the network of public television stations, a presentation of KCTS Seattle, WNET New York, WPBT Miami, WTVS Detroit, and WGBH Boston. This is Frontline with Judy Woodruff.
Good evening. Most of us get up in the morning and go to work. Tonight, a story about those who don't. It's about living on welfare and also about having a job, the job of being poor. This is a story about people who don't have many choices, because even when the economy turns around or jobs become available in the Sun Belt, there are still people who, for so many reasons, can't make it on their own and who have to turn to some form of public money or private charity. This film had its beginning 2 years ago when a Frontline team spent 5 months in a small northeastern city making a film about an abortion clinic. They followed some of the women who came to the clinic back to their homes and found most of them living on some form of state or federal assistance. In fact, they found that true for over half the city's population. But as they entered these lives, they discovered how little we know about what it's really like to live below the poverty line and what the daily work of being poor is all about. Produced by Mark Obenhaus, Michael Schwartz, and Edward Gray, the film is called Living Below the Line.
Chester, Pennsylvania is a small industrial city south of Philadelphia. For more than 100 years, blue-collar workers were drawn to Chester by wages as high as any in the Northeast. But Chester is no longer thriving. Dozens of plants have shut down, and thousands of people have been laid off from jobs. Chester is now one of the poorest cities in the United States. The middle class has virtually abandoned the city, leaving behind a population that is largely unskilled and chronically unemployed. Less than a generation ago, there was a job in Chester for anyone who wanted to work. But now the jobs are gone, and most of the people who remain have turned to the government for help.
Some people always say, willpower will correct anything. And sometimes I say, did you ever try that with a case of diarrhea? And that's really what you're dealing with in these inner cities, of where, because of economic and government forces over the past 40 years, the economics are such that the people cannot really help themselves. They need government help.
This is a film about some of these men and women and the welfare system they depend on. It is a film about the job of being poor in a city where more than half the population receives federal or state money. Farrell Stallings is about to join their ranks. This is his first visit to the welfare office.
Do you have proof of your birth today? Right now?
That is the first thing I don't have.
Do you have a driver's license?
Yes, I do.
And do you have an apartment, Sarah, or do you rent a room?
How was that?
Do you have an apartment?
No, I own my house.
Oh, you own your home?
Yeah.
Do you realize if you own property that we must place a lien on the property?
It really doesn't matter. I still got to eat somehow or another.
That's true.
Stallings was more fortunate than many in Chester. His job as a copper worker lasted 28 years. But with his unemployment benefits used up, his savings gone, and his children unable to offer support, he turned to the welfare department with less than $1 in his pocket.
How long have you been unemployed?
18 months.
And you were receiving unemployment compensation?
It exhausted last month, December.
Unfortunately, Mr. Stallings, in order to apply for welfare, there are certain things you must have. Even though you are 60 years of age, I must still ask you to register for employment and bring us an ES511W or a green work form. This is what it looks like.
State regulations require that able-bodied men and women seeking welfare certify their willingness to work by registering at the Bureau of Employment Security.
Now tell me this, have you ever been to COSA over in Media? COSA is a service established for people over 55 years of age. They do not touch anybody under 55. And they do pretty much what we do. I would recommend that you also register with them. They're at 2nd and Olive Street in Media. I'll give you one of my cards with that address. Because the more irons you have in the fire, the better off, you know?
Yeah.
It's the way things are today.
Let me make a statement here. All of the jobs that I was more or less qualified in those, from the time I was in my early 20s, those jobs are not available anymore. You've got to be a technician. Plus the fact, you've got to have at least anywhere from 2 to 10 years of experience in that field.
Right.
And that's not quite possible when you're still in a job as long as I have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's awful tough when you work with one employer 28 years and then to go with a new one and break in on a new job. It's very difficult, you know.
Try to get used to the job.
Well, they won't today, because it's their market. It's an employer's market today, you know. They're flooded, they're spoiled, you know, you might say. Here, now these go to welfare. Make sure that they get both of these.
I most certainly will.
So you won't have any trouble.
When people talk about welfare, there's a lot of different welfare programs. In other words, you have direct cash assistance welfare, which we have 8,100 people involved in that. Which would mean that would be approximately 16-18% of our population. Then you have food stamps. You have aid to families with dependent children, which is a big ticket item. Then you have subsidized Section 8 housing. Then you have public housing. Now, a federal entitlement program is Social Security, and we have, 1/3 of our population is on Social Security. So, depending on what factor or how you put these statistics together, certainly over half the city is receiving some type of federal or state check.
The next morning at 7 a.m., Stallings returned to the welfare office.
Okay, Mr. Stallings, you wanted to apply for public assistance for yourself?
Yes.
And what's the reason you're applying for assistance today?
I have no income.
Were you working? Where was the last job you had?
HK Porter. It's a wire plant in Prospect Park.
Uh-huh.
That's where I worked the longest.
Uh-huh.
I was there for 28 years.
You're going to go out of business today? Just about?
Just about put everybody out. Everybody. Personnel, all the machines have been quiet for months.
Now, do you have your Social Security card, Mr. Stallings?
Yes, I do.
And proof of your age? You were never on assistance before?
No.
you live where now, Mr. Stallings?
2212 West 3rd Street.
2212 West 3rd Street. It's Farrell Stallings, correct?
That's correct.
Now, you have proof of where you live on you, right?
How was that?
Do you have proof of where you're living? Down on 2212 West 3rd Street? Who do you live with down here, Mr. Stallings?
It's my house.
Just your house paid for?
Yeah.
You know you have to sign a lien against your home.
I heard that.
As a condition for application for cash assistance.
On the front, you'll see.
Yeah, I see. Edith Fox, she lives with you?
Yeah. She has 2 children, teenage girls.
And she pays you $130 a month, right?
That's the only income I've got now.
You know, we have to apply a certain amount of this money to your check. You realize that? You receive $130 a month. Now, here's the deductions we give you. We subtract $10, and that's $120. Then we divide $120 in half, and that is $60. Then from that, we deduct, we give you that's your profit would be $60. And from that, we give you an incentive of $20, which leaves $40, and we take 50% of the next $60. Well, this in your case would be half of 40, which is $20. So we take 50% of the next 60, so $40 is less than 60, so we take $30. So all we would apply to your check is $10, okay? In other words, out of the $130 you receive a month for your rent, we are only going to apply $10 to your check. You know, you'll be receiving $86 every 2 weeks. That's what one single person on general assistance receives in Pennsylvania and Delaware County. So you'll receive 70s. You'll receive, well, we'll take 10 from 172. You'll receive $162 a month. And 162 divided by 2, it'd be $81 you'd receive at the bank every 2 weeks. Okay, so we're only, after we give you the incentives, we're only deducting $10. Okay?
Okay.
Yes.
That's every 2 weeks, right? Right. Is there any way possible I could get some immediate financial help?
Yeah, I'll explain that to you in a minute. You can get an emergency check, which you can pick up on Monday. There's no same-day service here. There's nothing can be picked up the same day.
I
can get it ready, have it for you for Monday. Okay?
Right.
It's only survival. Now, I grant it's difficult. $40 a week these days for a single person, and have to pay rent. No, it's not easy at all. And I'd be the last one to say that. But remember, I think when the legislature sets grants, they have to take into account those people who need assistance, but also the greater numbers of persons out there who are feeling that it's their money that's paying for welfare, and Lord help the legislature who gives their money away. So somewhere there has to be a balance struck between the realities of politics and the needs of people.
I think the concept of the welfare system is that welfare be a floor beneath which nobody should be expected to fall, that there are certain things that people need just to live as decent, dignified human beings. And I think it's our role to provide that in a way that gives dignity to those who, need to depend on the public fund.
The Delaware County Legal Assistance Association provides civil legal services to the poor in Chester. The majority of clients subsist on public money,
Section 8 because of no employment.
Last year, a staff of 7 attorneys and 3 paralegals counseled nearly 6,000 clients. The office operates an advice and referral unit, which helps clients like Farrell Stallings find ways to obtain food, heating oil, and other necessities they cannot afford.
If the question is, does the welfare system provide Mr. Stallings with a way in which he can survive in some kind of decent fashion, the answer is no. The public assistance benefit amount certainly varies from state to state, but as a general rule is less than half of what the government insists is minimally necessary to meet basic expenses, housing and rent and food and clothing and medical care. Defined in those terms, the public assistance benefit amount is paying 45 to 48% of the official poverty line. So that somebody on public assistance, it's not a surprise, cannot afford to pay their rent and their utilities and their clothing in the same month. It can't be done.
And utility bill, they're all outstanding. And as of now, as of this moment, you don't know what's going to happen the next minute, you know. And I'm not able to take care of those bills, you see.
What I'm going to do is refer you to some of our emergency food centers. You should be there first thing in the morning, no later than 7 o'clock, so you won't have so long to wait, okay?
Thank you.
We say to people, people don't starve in our streets. People don't live in the streets. We have programs that take care of these kinds of things. And people who have worked all their lives and suddenly find themselves poor believe that. They believe that there's really a system out there that's going to help them if they fall on bad times. And what they've been finding out that's just not the case. And so they go to the first agency and they're referred to another agency and then they're referred to another agency. And they take all their papers trying to show that, hey, I need help. And it's this referral on and on and on and on, paper after paper after paper. Always with this expectation that our system is going to provide.
The system is designed to provide the very barest subsistence levels, and very begrudgingly, to limited categories of people. And it's historically gone through periods of expanding the numbers of people that fit in those categories and contracting them, depending on political winds. And it is a system administered and directed by institutions responding to institutional and budget imperatives. Perhaps, at least at times, to a greater extent than they're responding to the needs of the clientele who are seeking their assistance. When was this accident?
72, March.
Okay, this was a traffic accident.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, it's a traffic accident. I was on a motorcycle.
Mm-hmm. And you say you were partially paralyzed on the right side?
Well, now I'm partially paralyzed. My arm. My leg came back to me, though.
Mm-hmm.
I can use my leg, but I have to have it built up an inch. It healed on
The Social Security Administration contends that Francis Cooney is capable of gainful employment and has therefore refused him disability benefits.
To get the SSI, we're basically going to have to show that you cannot do sit-down work. That is, that you could not be a ticket taker at a movie theater or could not solder jewelry parts together. And that's what we're talking about. If that's not true, if you can sit at a movie theater and take tickets or solder parts together or pack a box sitting down, then even though no jobs like that may exist in the Delaware Valley, even though there are 5,000 people applying for every one that's open, even though the employer is not going to hire somebody with a handicap when he can hire someone without it, then we aren't going to win.
I used to get SSI before. But then when I got married, I got dropped because my wife was working at the time.
I see.
No, she can't work now because she's a mother, taking care of the child, and she can't work, and I have a hard time now. I can't work, and so they dropped me completely. They thought she was going to carry over for me.
She's on Social Security now.
Right. Disability.
Because of her disability.
Right. She has cerebral palsy.
Okay. Our clients live in a world of bureaucracy whose intricacies they don't understand. There are a great many programs. The ways in which each of those programs counts income, counts resources, computes what benefits are due to someone vary from one program to the next, so that food stamp rules and medical assistance rules and general assistance and AFDC rules, all of which are managed by the Public Welfare Office, all differ. It's not surprising if in that context there's enormous psychological stress.
Listen for your name to be called.
Kaufman suggested that pending the resolution of his Social Security case, Cooney was eligible for welfare and food stamps. The Cooney family had been living on $449 a month in disability checks issued to Mrs. Cooney and their son.
According to the physician, you're totally unemployable. So, and that's the reason that you are appealing their decision. When did you make an application in Social Security?
The date we made it in May. I think the beginning of May. And that's about the May.
That was the first date that you made application?
Both of us.
Okay,
yeah.
But he made application in May too, and so the appeal's going back to May. This is what exempts you from registering for employment and makes you what we consider chronically needy applicant who will receive benefits all the way up until a decision is rendered. In a savings account, checking account.
We did have the savings account.
You got a checking?
Oh, no.
You have no checking. That's the only cash savings that you have. Do you own any property?
No.
So you just have a balance here of $45.73. You have life insurance? Life insurance.
Yes.
You do. You have a life insurance policy?
Yeah, but we didn't bring it.
You didn't bring it?
It's $9 a year.
I think it was indicated that there wasn't any at the pre-screen application.
No.
There wasn't any life insurance.
No, we told last week, we told the woman that there was.
There was.
Yeah.
But you didn't bring the policy with you today.
Right, no.
How long have you had them?
A couple of months.
Oh, a couple of months.
No, not long.
Okay. All right.
We got turned down from a lot of companies because we have brain damage.
Okay. All right then.
Three months later, Social Security reversed itself and granted Francis Cooney his disability benefits.
Number 17, Farrell Stallings. Are you number 17?
Stallings was advised by legal services to go to the welfare office to apply for a federal energy assistance grant.
Mr. Stallings, would you follow me, please? Mr. Stallings, have you ever applied for this program before?
No, I haven't.
No? This is the first time?
Yes, I have.
Okay, let me tell you a little bit about the program. This is a program where we make available to you a fuel grant. It's a one-time grant. That is, you can only apply for it one time per program year. Now, the amount of the grant is based upon total household income, the number of people in the household, and the type of fuel that you use. Now, do you have your UC-44 at home? That white notice of financial determination has the amount. You have that on you?
I may.
Okay.
I may. Not sure.
And would you have your unemployment card too?
Yes.
Yellow one. It'll show the run out date.
I can give you that right off the bat. Not sure. Oh, it was 180. That was the first
This is an
one.
old one.
Yeah, that's
Do
the
you have
first.
your newest one? Not, we may have to go with this figure because we can only work with what we have. Now your address is?
2212 West 3rd Street.
And this is in Chester. Now, do you have a telephone number, Mr. Stallings?
No problem. I haven't had a phone in several years.
All right, you are a homeowner. And you say there's just yourself in the household, however you have a boarder.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so we'll
My
put you as a
children are
household one, because we're going to use that border income, the income you receive from
Well,
there.
see, she's got 2 children.
Well, we're
Don't
going
make
to put
it-
you as
oh,
one.
yeah, okay.
Excuse me, please. Energy assistance, may I help you, please? Yeah.
I'm nervous.
Don't think so. No, 1 minute, please. Have you ever applied for food stamps or anything here?
No. No.
Okay,
Not
you've never
me.
done that before. Okay.
I've never
No, I
had.
won't need a printout. Now, you don't receive anything for a handicap. Are you over 60 years of age?
I turned 60 August 11th.
Now, Mr. Stallings, once you bring back this information on this list that I need, you can ask for me. I'm usually here from 8:30 in the morning. 12 to 1, I'm out to lunch, and I'll be here until about 5 o'clock this evening. When you bring that back, we should be able to complete your information.
The English poor laws always started out with the premise that you can never give people more than on welfare, more than the poorest wage earner was earning. And that's always been a premise of the Elizabethan poor laws. That if you gave someone on welfare or in the poorhouses more than the poorest worker, then no one would ever work. And that's what I think you see here. This feeling that unless you make people grovel, unless you make them file 700 forms, unless you pay them benefits that are so far below what you could possibly earn, that you're going to somehow kill the initiative to work. I think what happens instead is that very process kills the initiative to work.
There is no
Terry
appointment
Buck
scheduled.
has received welfare for most of his adult life. 30 years old and a former Marine, he is now one of Chester's many street people.
Yeah. Okay, I'll try them. Righto. Bye-bye. They don't have it. It's 75 cents. Right? For the bus. You have the 75 cents.
I think it's 75 out.
And 75 back. If you come here, I will give you the $1.50 on Thursday and the $1.50 on Friday. All right?
Okay.
Because it's easier than my fighting it with the world. Right?
Each month, Buck receives $70 worth of food stamps and a welfare check for $172. He has filed claims with the Veterans Administration and with Social Security seeking higher monthly benefits. He has also asked Kaufman to help him apply for educational benefits under the GI Bill of Rights.
From what you've told me, it doesn't sound to me like you're in much shape to go to school.
No, but I got nothing else to do. If I stay in the house all the time, I'm going to go off.
The GI Bill is not a program basically to provide living expenses, which is what you're interested in using it for in some ways, because you're starving to death. And that makes sense. I understand that. But that's not what it's designed to do. That's why we're going after the benefits designed to do, even though they don't pay enough to do what they're supposed to do. I have no guarantees.
That's what I'm saying. Even then, the rent, once I pay, the rent's going to take all that check.
That's right. It's not the, you're not going to be rich winning this case. There's no question about that.
Oh, I understand that, but I'm saying I'm not even going to have no money to get things that I need, personal.
Well, the food's going to be paid. The rent's is going to be, you're going from $172 a month on general assistance to $356 a month on supplemental security income. If we can win the Veterans Administration, which is going to take longer, that's $444 a month. It's a lot better than $172. It's not as good as if you can work. The hope is that it's enough so that you have a roof, so that you have some food, so you have a place you can go, so that you can get the treatment to then put you back in the workforce.
Yeah, well, I know what you're saying.
I don't know what you're saying. I don't have the answer.
Because just like now, somebody done stole my cane again. VA won't give me another one. Saying I'm losing my balance more and more.
I don't have answers to those questions.
Now you know why I drink like I do.
Yeah, I know. And I've said it before. Drinking is only going to keep you in the hole.
That's true.
356 won't cover room and board and drink too.
Stallings would not get his welfare check until the following Monday, leaving him without food or money for several days. Legal Services referred him to a private welfare agency.
Good afternoon, Mr. Stallings. How do you spell your last name? Is it Stallings?
That's correct.
Thank you. Are you married, divorced, separated?
Widower.
A widower. Thank you. I would like to take your Social Security number. Or maybe you know it offhand.
At 166.
166 hyphen?
16.
16 hyphen?
0273.
0273. Thank you. Do you have any children at all?
Not at home. All my children are all grown and married and away.
All right. What are your required current needs now?
Yesterday I didn't have any food. I have no money. I got 1 penny in my pocket right now. And just basic needs.
Emergency food.
I didn't have any until yesterday.
What church do you attend?
How was that?
What church do you attend?
Not any now, but I was formerly affiliated for quite a number of years at Bethany Baptist Church, Reverend Daniel A. Scott.
That's Scott. Would you like to come and visit our church sometime?
Well, I most certainly will.
With our little problems and our big problems, if we contact Jesus Christ, we can make it through there.
Well, I'm trying on my own so far with
you know him well.
Little spiritual help from him.
You know
I know
Jesus.
I used to sing with the Daniel Chorus.
Oh, I remember
years back.
If you could help us with our choir, we need members. All right, well, I have your basket made.
Economic conditions today not being good. You don't know where you're going the next minute. You just move from one day to another. You don't know what's going to happen. You cannot determine your own destiny. That's the hard part. When you can't determine what you want to do the next minute, that's poverty. If you don't have a job, you can't do it. You can't do it. A lot of people don't feel like that, I suppose, but that's the way I am. That's the way I feel. I like to determine my own destiny through my own efforts.
Maria Vargas is a 25-year-old mother of 4. She has collected welfare all of her adult life. Neither she nor her 16 brothers or sisters finished school. She cannot read or write.
If I can work, if I got anybody to keep the little one I got, I'll be glad to work. I don't mind. But probably, I think for me, I probably make more than what I'm getting on DPA. All the hassle you gotta go for DPA, Probably get, if you work, you probably get more. But I can't say nothing because, when I apply for it, I don't get that much, problem. They ask you a lot of questions, but they gotta go by the law. It's not that they want to ask you them kind of questions. It's because that's their work, that's what their job are. Ask questions and stuff like that.
The Vargases are supported by Aid to Families with Dependent Children, a federal welfare program. Since being evicted, Maria and her children have been sharing a one-bedroom apartment with another family. After weeks of looking, Maria finally found an apartment of her own. At the suggestion of legal services, she came to the Salvation Army for help paying her rent.
Hello, this is Dorothy Harris from Salvation Army. Can I speak to a social worker? Okay. Really, I have a client here, Maria Vargas. Recently, she found a house. Community Action is giving her $150, and she needs $75 to complete that 1 month's transaction, or deposit rather, and then I will give her the $225, for the first month's rent. Her income is $460. She has 4 children, and she's on DPA. Maria Vargas. Vargas. Okay. All right, thanks a lot. Okay, bye-bye. They're going to call me right back, but they'll be able to get you the $50. And
Where's
you'll have
that?
It's in Darby. You can go right out Chester Pike or out 22nd Street, which turns into MacDade Boulevard. And it's not that much turning after that. I can give the lady the directions. I can write them down for her. Okay?
I know where is that. Well, I don't know. I'm going to wonder where is that. That's a street name, or
No,
is it
that's the name of a little township. Takes about 20 minutes to get there.
The Salvation Army arranged Maria Vargas's transportation to Freedom House, another private welfare agency.
Do you have relatives and where they are? You don't have any relatives near here?
In Florida.
Your relatives in Florida. Okay. Do you have an address for them? You just know they're in Florida. Do you know what town? You just know they're in Florida. How much money do you have to have altogether?
$225.
Okay. And where are you getting the other?
From the church, Counselor Church or something. And
Counselor
Chester.
Churches?
Yeah, from the church.
In Chester?
Yes. They're going to give me $25. And then they call here.
And they call Freedom House
Yeah.
to see if we
They
can
can
get
give 50.
And you're asking us to give you 50?
Mm-hmm.
What we will have to do from here is to, since CAA and since Catholic Social Service have agreed to pay part of it, what we will do is make a check to the landlord. Then this will mean that you have your first month's rent and your security. How are you going to prevent getting into this same situation again? That's what I want to know. And I always ask all of the people that I don't want you to come back next month
saying that
No, after I get this straightened out, I'll know because I got to pay it myself when I get my check on my DPA.
when you get your DPA check, will you be
That's
able to
what I'll
get your
do.
first check in time for your next rent?
Yeah, supposed
You
to.
will. So you'll be able to handle it.
Yeah.
Because the money that we have is money through the state, through the government, but they only allow us to help a person one time in 18 months. So if you can't pay your rent and you come back next month, we will not be able to do
I'm
it.
not going to do that.
Okay.
I'm doing this because I really need it. If I didn't need it, I won't come.
I believe you. But I just want to make sure that we are doing the right thing and not just putting a Band-Aid on a whole big sore. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure you understand it. Okay? Okay, if you are going to be able to keep it up,
Yeah.
and you won't have to come back to us again.
The only problem I had to move out the place was, where I used to live before because they sold the place. If it wasn't for that, I never had moved out. I never would have been in this, the way I am now.
Yes.
The next day, Maria Vargas paid the landlord $450. She and her children moved into their new home.
In a way, I feel real happy because I got a place for the kids, that they could play around. Just like everybody says, you feel good when you have your home. That's all to it. I feel good now that I got this place with all four of them. They can jump around and play.
Oh, shake it, Senorita. Shake it all we can. Walk to the bottom.
6 months later, Maria Vargas and her children were evicted for non-payment of rent.
T-O-P.
The Social Security Administration sent Buck to several doctors, including a psychologist, to evaluate his ability to work. Kaufman drove Buck to the appointment because he knew Buck wouldn't make it on his own.
You've had a few appointments already, so I'm pretty sure you're understanding much of what this is about. Many people can apply for disability beyond it for a lot of different reasons. There's a lot of reasons why a person might not be working. What is the reason for you?
I'm not working.
Right.
Can't find a job, don't got no experience.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got a problem which is with alcohol mostly. Which I drink a lot.
How far back are we talking about now? When was it that you first started the drinking? When was it you first started?
I started drinking when I was 10. Which is partly from AA. I've been going to AA since 76, after I came out the penitentiary. It was brought to attention by the psychiatrist that my family, to relieve the pressure, I go out and drink. They said I wasn't an alcoholic, but I had alcoholic tendencies.
Okay, now this was in 76 or so?
Yeah, that's when I seen the shrink. That made no offense.
Have you ever been hospitalized later for your drinking or for drugs? When you arrived at service?
For drinking.
For drinking? How many times were you hospitalized for that? Do you remember?
Maybe 11 times.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. Basically, I think what you're telling me is since you've been about 10 years old, you've been drinking pretty regularly, maybe every day. Off and on, you might have stopped for a period of time, but you really haven't stopped at all since about 79. Been hospitalized quite a bit for the drinking. Okay? You've had problems with the police because of some robberies and also because of, as you would say, blacking out and forgetting to check in, and then you would get in trouble for that. Right? Okay. What I want to do now is I want to ask you some questions, some of which are easy, some of which are hard. I simply want you to try, do the best you can. How is an orange and a banana like? What's similar about an orange and a banana?
Fruit.
Good, okay. North and west.
to places.
Eye and ear.
Doing something.
What's that?
Doing something.
How do you mean doing something?
Each having something specific.
Okay, let's imagine you're in a movie, all right? And you're the first person to see fire or smoke. What would you do?
Leave.
Why should people pay taxes?
Because the system says so.
Why do they say so? Why do you think the system says so?
Take people's money.
What do you hope comes out of this? How do you hope this all ends up?
That I get some kind of help and, where find out why, I do have these problems and get help. Where, eventually be help to get a trade and make something of myself. Huh?
Why did you think it went badly?
I don't know the way he was talking at the end. Like you were saying, you ain't dumb and you ain't crazy.
Well, that's sort of nice to hear, isn't it?
Yeah. But the way he was saying, you shouldn't be here.
I didn't hear him say that.
Oh, he didn't say it, but I was saying the way it sounded. Maybe I'm wrong. Like I told you, I ain't had a drink yet. I'm still half out of it.
Mm-hmm. That's all right. That's all right.
That's easy for you to say. Well, don't worry, but I have to just stop by the bar.
Did fine.
Stop at the next bar, James.
Well, yeah, it's stopping at the next bar that seems to be the chief difficulty. It's killing you. Literally.
I know.
I don't like my clients dying, quite frankly.
I ain't ready to die yet.
Spoils the day.
Well, just put an ounce of reefer on my coffin, bottle of wine, and everybody get high.
Doesn't make it go away, does it?
No, but I can't complain.
Social Security denied Terry Buck's claim for disability benefits. He continues to subsist on $172 a month from welfare. Farrell Stallings returned to the welfare office with additional documentation to give to his energy assistance caseworker.
Insurance at home. Okay, we can use this. You're going to be getting food stamps also? See if there's a case number. Did you get a statement from your board, or was that information included in here?
Yeah, it was included.
It was included in this figure?
I'll let you see it.
This is the first time you've applied for emergency.
For anything.
This is the first time you've applied for this program. Okay. So you're going to use Delco as your regular dealer?
Yeah, I know them very well.
When's the last time you've had heat in your home?
It's been several years.
Several years?
A couple of years.
How'd you do that for 2 years?
Well, I had electric heaters.
Uh-huh.
And I used kitchen heat.
Uh-huh.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, you may want this back too. It's your schedule. Okay, as soon as she brings that over, then we fill out the rest of the application. There's a great deal of writing and some paperwork, so it's going to take a little while. Okay? Now, it's going to take anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks before this is made available to you. Now, you should get a notice first telling you that you're eligible, hopefully for that amount I quoted, all right? That it will go to Delco. Now, you can call Delco and ask them if your grant has arrived. It may or may not have, but then you can make arrangements for it to be delivered to you, okay? Now, I'm going to put this through. Is there any other questions you have for me, Mr. Stallings? This is going to take 2 to 3 weeks. All right? Okay, I'll be right back. Excuse me.
This society tends to value human beings in terms of their contribution to the economic program and ascribe little, if any, value to a human being that doesn't participate in that economic structure for whatever reason, be it health or training or too many children or location or whatever. And if you don't participate, you're poor. I mean, it's that simple. If you participated for 50 years, as I think, or 30 years, as Stallings did, and tomorrow morning you don't participate, whether it's because a plant left town or because the building fell on top of you or because you developed cancer or whatever, you're poor. It doesn't matter that you worked for 30 years. You're poor at the end of it. They've used you up. We measure human beings that way. We have a history of measuring the land and the sea and the air and trees and everything else that way, too. They're worth whatever you can get out of it in dollar terms. And when you can't, you ignore it.
It is pretty grim for a lot of people right here in the city of Chester, especially the younger people. They never had a chance to really mold their lives one way or the other. And even though there are a lot of them that have done pretty well educational-wise, they can't do anything about it either. I still think everybody that has any spirit at all should try to remain hopeful that things will get better soon. Like I said, it's hard to do when you're hungry and you don't know where to turn. But you got to get out there and try. Get to the point, you got to try.
Farrell Stallings has still not found a job. We've told his story a week before a national election, not because it's about politics, but because it goes beyond party platforms to an America that is in the process of great changes. New technologies are reshaping our lives at home and at work. Foreign competition is threatening our industry. We are part of a shifting world economy. So as we create the society we're going to be, we should remember the people we might leave behind, like Farrell Stallings. Coming up next week on Frontline, an inside look at America's favorite spectator sport.
The horses, the jockeys, the players, all trying to win at a tough gamble.
There's just no form of gambling that is so exciting as the racetrack.
How do you pick a winner?
The biggest winner that I ever had on my sheets was a professor who blew in here 1 year and blew out about 2 years later with $250,000 in his pocket, and he didn't know anything about horse racing. He didn't buy the racing form.
I bet that $100 double today. Slip me 10, you'll do all right.
The average person cannot beat this game. It requires too much work.
I'm already thinking a week or so ahead, and I cannot reveal this name, but on Saturday in those betless races, I saw a horse that will make me king of the world.
We call the program King of the World. It is next week on Frontline. I'm Judy Woodruff. Good night.
For a transcript of this program, please send $4 to Frontline, Box 322, Boston, Massachusetts, 02134. Frontline is produced for the Documentary Consortium by WGBH Boston, which is solely responsible for its content. Major funding for Frontline was provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Additional funding was provided by this station and other public television stations nationwide. For video cassette information about Frontline, write to PBS Video, Box 8092, Washington, D.C., 20024.